Go ahead and take a moment just to be. Let yourself be in nature. Fall in love with the beauty of the pine tree, the dancing palms, the petals and fragrance of the rose, rainbows across the skies, the full moon, the stars shining brightly, the beauty of the ocean, and the ever-constant sound of the sea. This world is a beautiful work of art, given to us as a place to live and grow. It is our home. Why would we want to destroy it?
We are all interconnected: climate, the natural world, and humanity.
The Earth is an organism within a larger universe, and we're all connected: the climate, the natural world, and humans. So what is climate change? Climate change includes the profound long-term changes in weather patterns, such as flooding, drought, changes in sea level, and extreme weather events. It is the rapid changes in recent decades caused by humans that are of concern. And this is happening all over the world. The top 5 wildfires in California have occurred since 2018, and they are the hottest ever. 10% of the sequoias were destroyed in the Castle Fire in California. It takes a lot to destroy a sequoia, which is so needed to absorb carbon back into the earth. In California, 41% of properties are considered at risk for being impacted by wildfire. More rain is falling now instead of snow due to warming here in California. In early 2023, 90% of California was under flood watch. A fire burn that scorches the earth, followed by torrential rains, puts the land at risk for flooding and mudslides, and ultimately loss of property and of life. So what is it that drives climate change? It is the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is an imbalance in the natural gases that compose the atmosphere. These natural gases, the atmosphere, keeps the planet warm enough to support a diversity of life. Contributing factors to this imbalance is carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere through the burning of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels include coal, oil, and natural gas. Carbon dioxide is heat trapping and a major contributor to global warming. Climate research reports the results of carbon emissions as carbon dioxide equivalents. Other gases in the atmosphere are methane and nitrous oxide emissions. The meat and dairy sector is projected to emit 80% of greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. In fact, according to a 2020 paper published in Science, without major changes to our current food systems, we will exceed the 1.5 Celsius warming limit, which was targeted in the Paris Agreement, even if all fossil fuel emissions were stopped. It is methane and nitrous oxide that is emitted as the result of industrial farming practices, especially livestock production. In trees, play a key role in absorbing carbon dioxide. Reforestation and vegetation regrowth increase carbon uptake, hence decrease the negative effects of carbon emissions. Deforestation is the main reason for the high carbon footprint of animal agriculture. Think of the vast pasture and lands for crop cultivation needed to feed farmed animals. So how are we managing the resources of our Mother Earth? The Earth is purging out toxins and negative influences. The Earth is calling to be healed, to be realigned in the divine order of the universe. Our food and agricultural sector accounts for more than a quarter of all the greenhouse gas emissions and more for methane emissions. In the United States, greenhouse emissions increased by 16% between 1990 and 2021. The agricultural industry is key for reducing greenhouse emissions and putting carbon back into the soil. The fifth Climate National Assessment, which is a U.S. publication, recommends a decrease in the demand for meat and that people prefer a vegetarian, vegan, flexitarian, or Mediterranean dietary patterns in order to decrease greenhouse gas emissions and also for the health benefits. The science is clear. Meat produces more greenhouse gas emissions than plant-based protein. There is a strong case for less beef servings and a recommendation for plant-based protein. Plant-based protein produces 1/10 of the greenhouse gas emissions than a serving of beef. What if we shifted a portion of animal product purchases from meat and dairy to plant-based foods? This would have the effect of decreasing greenhouse gas emissions. It would mitigate climate change. It would save on or conserve our resources. It would decrease animal suffering. It would increase health, and it would save money. There was a case study in Sweden where the results demonstrate that plant-based alternative-rich diets substantially reduce greenhouse gas emissions, 30 to 52%. Reduce land use, 20 to 45%, and reduce fresh water use, 14 to 27%. The vegan diet showed the highest reduction potential. There were comparable benefits with whole foods diets. Bottom line, there is a need to reduce animal-sourced food consumption. The nutrient deficit in plant-based diets is vitamin B12, vitamin D, and selenium. The benefit is increased in iron, magnesium, folate, fiber, plus a decrease in saturated fats. Daily expenditure slightly increases in the plant-based scenarios by 3 to 5% and decreases in whole food scenarios 4 to 17%. Large-scale dietary changes are urgently needed to achieve sustainable and resilient food systems while ensuring nutritious diets for a growing world population. We know buying and consuming less emissions-intensive food, particularly beef, and increasingly adopting a pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, Mediterranean, or flexitarian diet can reduce greenhouse emissions and result in direct health benefits. But what about fish? What is the health of the ocean? Well, we know that the ocean is important in terms of helping to regulate the temperature of the planet. But what about the health of the fish? We know that fish, and particularly large fish, contain mercury, methyl mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium. And now we know that fish contain nanoparticles and microparticles of plastic. And so that when we consume this fish, we are consuming micro and nanoplastics. Other studies around cleanups of beaches show that 70 to 99% of the trash is plastic, and that plastic is a huge problem in the world. And so how is it that we, as humans, take in microplastic and nanoplastic? Well, we take it in through ingestion, through the food that we eat. They have found in stool studies that there are microplastics in our stool. One source that is contaminated is fish, but also milk, beer, honey, sugar, salt, and bottled water. There is an association between microplastics and inflammatory bowel disease. Retrospective studies show that micro and nanoplastics may be linked to carcinogenesis and genotoxicity, may be linked to one of the contributing factors to cancer. Let's look at how our children are responding to plastic all around them.
We use sustainable packaging, and we try not to use plastic. I am a pescatarian because I care about the animals and the planet and my health.
As a mother and a doctor, I've dedicated my life to empowering people and families to make health choices that give them a beautiful life and also support the planet.
Leading public health experts recommend plant-forward dietary patterns. Beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. And limit meat, processed foods, alcohol, and sugar. We must create policies to revolutionize agricultural practices, safeguard and revitalize forests, embrace sustainable urban development, and champion conservation initiatives to support enhanced carbon sequestration, carbon absorption, even in the face of uncertainty due to a changing climate. We must strike a balance between carbon absorption, emissions reduction, and various land uses. This includes restoring nutrients, minerals, and organic matter to the soil. Crop production requires an agro-ecosystem where there is balance, biodiversity, and a reflection of our cultural values. Vandana Shiva tells us that soil is the most biodiverse part of the earth, and its balance affects our ability to grow nutrient-rich food for generations. It is the soil that sustains plants on the earth. Achieving this balance hinges on locally informed policies that address the diverse needs of communities, the economy, and the environment. I have been inspired to live my life in alignment with my highest good. And this means taking action for the benefit of all of us, to do no harm, and to walk down a path that sustains life on this planet. And as far as food goes, it means the highest yield It's nutritious. It's cost-effective. It sustains the earth and sustains biodiversity on this planet. Let us all be a part of a grassroots revolution to save our planet, our Earth, the only home we have ever known. Let us love and care for our planet Earth. Let us appreciate the life that we have. Let us use technology for the best good of all of us. And let us work together to create a world that is harmonious, that is peaceful, and that supports the highest good of all of us.
Let us all be part of a grassroots revolution to save our planet, our Earth, the only home we've ever known.
Let us all be a part of a grassroots revolution to save our planet, our Earth, the only home we have ever known.
The earth is my home.